Hello, everybody, and today I'm going to be reading from my dream journal, which is actually in my phone, but I picked the most interesting ones out of it that I felt would, just serve as a good example of what my dreams are like. I wrote them down in this notebook, and I just figured I'd share them with you. But I want to preface these dreams. The way I go about my dream journal is we all know how quickly and rapidly the memories of dreams fall away. So what I did, and I learned this during the period of my life where I was trying to lucid dream. I started this dream journal, and I've kind of just continued it ever since. But I'll wake up in the morning, and that's right when you remember your dreams. I mean, you wake up in the morning, it's either right then or like 10 minutes later. You have just these memories of things that were going on, and you're familiar with knowing that they were your dreams. So when I'd wake up in the morning, instead of just ignoring them and going on with my day, I would go into the notes on my phone and write down the dreams that I had had. And I tried to write them, a little bit more revised. So, because sometimes I misspelled things and didn't make sense in the descriptions because I had just woken up. But I still feel like that serves a good look into, my take of the dream itself. But I did do a little bit of revising just so it made sense. And I included names of people and, addresses of different locations I was at during the dream. And I've changed those to protect those addresses and names that I used. So without any further ado, I'm going to get to reading my crazy dreams that I've had. And you'll probably catch on quickly to the types of dreams I have. And I'll kind of try to elaborate a little bit on them as well. Just more of what was going on, because I do remember a lot of these. And that's a thing that happens when you have a dream journal, is just reading a fragment of the dream you had. You remember it right in your head. Oh, yeah, I remember that dream. So, for the first one, I went into the new Highbrow, which is a weed dispensary, saw the logo everywhere, green weed, glass, and a vending machine type thing. I flew to Massachusetts, and I think, and then came back to do something that I can't remember, but I had to go right back to Massachusetts after. And another thing I want to say is there's multiple scenes, dream scenes, or in each of these reports. Every now and then there'll be one that's just a single scene from a dream, but most of these have multiple dreams like in that same description. So that was that first one. I remember it. I went into because this Highbrow dispensary relocated, and they have a new store that's not open yet, and that's what my dream was about, was going in there, and literally it looked like an Apple store, like glass and beautiful and clean. And I don't remember this vending machine thing I was talking about, but I'm sure it had, like bongs and weed jars in it and stuff like that. And I also remember the flying around. I had to go to Massachusetts and then come right back, but I couldn't stay for long because I had to go right back to Massachusetts, and I don't know what it was for or why. Yeah, okay, here's a funny one, and it's a single dream scene. I melted down 5-MeO DMT in a beaker and started to vape it. It tasted like whipped cream vodka. That like, I forget what it's called, Pinnacle. That Pinnacle cheap ass vodka, the whipped cream. That's what the vapor from the 5-MeO DMT tasted like in the dream. No clue why. So here's the third dream report. My dad was driving up a mountain pushing Sadie, my dog, up insanely steep hills. A kid with a red plaid sweatshirt stabs a kid in the neck at the end of the day. That happened at school. And that was two dream scenes. I remember the first one, my dad was driving up this like friggin' mountain, like straight up, and he's pushing me and Sadie from the front of his truck, like holding us back and pushing us up this hill. And I'm trying to keep Sadie from falling off, and I'm having to like jump to different trees and stuff to, keep my balance and not fall off the side of the truck. I don't know. And the second scene of that dream, this was at school, a kid with a red plaid sweatshirt stabs a kid in the neck at the end of the day. I remember it was the very end of the school day. The bell had just rung or something like that, and these kids were like confronting each other, and all of a sudden that kid just pulled a knife out and jabbed him in the neck, and I either woke up or didn't remember anymore from that point on. Alright, moving on. I took some ketamine, and it made my eyes droop so hard that I could barely open them. I was extremely off balance, it was hard to move, and I could barely see anything besides through a veil of blurriness. The school resource officer showed up, and I thought he was going to make me do a field sobriety test. Changing in scenes. My brother and sister were sitting on the couch at our old house, and I accidentally knocked the table up against their legs. My sister got angry and tried to push the table away, and when she couldn't, she started crying. My brother got pissed and yelled at me, and I said, "Why the fuck does everybody tweak so easily these days?" And he replied something along the lines of, "My bitchiness is what tweaked." And I thought that was funny because, that's like my friggin' intellect in there, oh, it was my bitchiness that tweaked. It wasn't me that tweaked. It was the aspect of myself that's bitchy that was being bitchy. Yeah, you can kind of tell these are just very random. And that's how dreams are to me, in my memories of dreams, is just, bouncing around to random scenes, random memories, random locations that, whether you've been there or not, seen the person or not, it's just like this collage of weird shit going along. And yes, sometimes one dream feels like it goes the whole night, but I've heard you always have swarms of dreams in a night like that, and when you feel like you had one dream that lasted all night long, it's just that you can't remember the other dreams that were going on. So moving on to the next dream report. Remember, these are written just as I'm waking up, just as it's all in the cusp of, right on the tip of my tongue. I was sitting in the parking lot of some store taking a dab, holding the rig out the window. I dream about weed a lot for some reason. A kid I know drove by me in a dump truck. Then a kid I went to school with drove by me in a bulldozer. I work at a landscaping company, so I'm assuming that's why I was dreaming about bulldozing and equipment and shit like that. Then this blonde guy with a nose piercing comes up to the trunk of the car I was in. Immediately I thought I was in trouble. "You smoking weed out here, bud?" the guy says. I tell him I was, and he says, "Why don't you finish smoking that weed, then come get in my car over here?" He had a police cruiser. I tried to wait for him to leave, but he stayed. Eventually, I took a bong rip. Now I have a bong instead of dabs. And told myself repeatedly, "Please be a dream, please be a dream." And when I woke up saying to myself, "Please be a dream, please be a dream." That was pretty far out. Waking up, it's like that area you get in where it's like you're on the verge of knowing you're dreaming. You're on the verge of going lucid. But it's not a genuine, am I dreaming? It's more like right now, like if something bad were to happen, you'd be like, "Oh my God, please be a dream, please be a dream." But you're still in the dream world saying that. You're just saying that in the dream. It's not the conscious part of you addressing this situation as, is this a dream? But it was weird that I woke up saying that to myself still. Okay. So that I want to say that's another, type of dream I have a lot, is getting caught smoking weed or something, or, because when I was younger I got in trouble quite a bit with cannabis, smoking cannabis and all that. And I think I've always just had this, fear of getting in trouble with the law ever since then. But this next one I'm about to read is another type of dream I have every now and then, but it's weird because I've had these types of dreams multiple times. I had to get on this boat and sail to the end of the ocean with this guy to be able to get to our cruise ship. Jet skis were going by us. The water looked cold. We were definitely around where my cottage used to be, like the ocean around where my cottage was. I was fighting for my life to remain hanging onto the boat because each wave we hit would throw me up in the air and slam me back down, and a lot of the time I would almost fall down into the ocean. Like, we'd be driving in the boat and we'd hit this wave and I'd fly way up above the boat. And then, and I'd start coming down and it looks like I'm going to go off the side of the boat down into the ocean, but I'd fall back down in the boat. And every wave we hit kept throwing me up, and I think I'm going to go off the side into the ocean. And I've had that kind of dream a lot of times. Like I have had one before where it throws me up, and I know I'm going to hit the water, and right before I hit the water, in the middle of the fucking ocean, I wake up, and it's just, I don't know, a repetitive styled dream that I've had. In a different dream scene, I was really excited to get some K and snort it all at once. The next parts were hard to recall. I was driving in a vehicle that was not mine. Then I was back at my grandfather's house, but it had tons of different wooden features, trapdoors, and secret hallways that aren't actually there. And that's another factor of my dreams, is at my grandfather's house, or it didn't even have to be my grandfather's house. It could be like, it's always just these weird, like, wooden cabin mansion looking things, and they have all these, like, trap doors and little mini doors that you go through into a room, and, like, tiny little hallways and secret walkways, and it's weird. I think it is associated with, like, some types of movies I may have seen as a kid, but it's not what my grandfather's house normally looks like. So here's another single scene from a dream, and this one's just weird. Nick, who is somebody I actually, one of my videos, conversation, he's been in a few of my videos before, but he was the one in this dream. Nick was walking down the road with a dog, and I called him over. He let me hit a lopsided jewel. And I remember that because, like, he came over and he had a jewel, but when he handed it to me, it was, like, blue, and it was, like, picture this right here, but, like, pixelating off to the side. It was, like, pixelated off to the side like that, and I called it a lopsided jewel when I had just woken up and tried to explain what happened. I hit a lopsided jewel. Okay, here's another one. I got offered heroin by a guy that looked familiar. I was at some college party. 3 people I know but were never close with come walking around the corner, one of them asking me for a bottle of gin. Me and this girl I went to school with were trapped at this old lady's house who was forcing us to work for her. She had 5-gallon buckets full of weed all through the house. This is a very far out. This is a transition in the dream scene, but still I remember it was in the same night. But this is just really weird. There was this weird moment where, from a suspended vantage, I saw this man run down the stairs, in which he met a child version of himself at the bottom. Then from the top of the stairs comes the child version of the man again, and when he gets to the bottom, he is greeted by the adult version of himself. Like, the man comes running down the stairs, and when he gets to the bottom, him as a kid opens the door and is, like, smiling at him. And the guy is just, like, shocked. Like, what the fuck? And then while he's shocked, from behind him, I see that little kid that just greeted him come running down the stairs. And behind the kid that greeted the man, the adult version of him walks up and greets the little kid. And they're all just, like, mind-fucked. And they all... Hold on, let me read it verbatim. These 4 beings warped together, and the original man said he was in a place that can't be named. I thought that was such a fucking far-out dream. Every now and then I have dreams that are like that. I think there's one more in here that's really weirdly philosophical, or, like, just trippy, I guess, or confusing, but I have dreams like that every now and then. So, here's one. How long is that one? Yeah, okay. My mom didn't want to talk to me. She said, "Sometimes I just don't like talking to you." I took 2 tabs of acid and ended up getting in an argument with my dad. At, um, okay, at school, there's a different dream scene. At school, a kid stole my pencil, to which I said, "Bro, we're in 12th fucking grade." Here's another good one. Single scener. I saw Donald Trump in an old style convertible crossing the bridge a few towns away from where I live. He said, I remember he pointed at me and he goes, "Oh, I see you there." I was just like, what the fuck? You know, obviously not in the dream, but I was like, "Hey, Donald Trump, what's up?" "Oh, I see you there." But when I woke up, I was like, what the fuck did I just dream about? Oh yeah, here's the really weird one that I was mentioning. And there's no context to it besides this right here. I was having this dream where I realized I do not exist and am not real if people aren't around me. Now, I don't really remember that dream, um, but I can say it was probably associated around this weird feeling I had that, like, if I was alone, I couldn't prove that I was real or existed. But when there were other people around me, it was like, "Yeah, you're real. Yeah, dude, you're real. You exist. You're here." And it was like, "Oh, okay, reassurance. I actually exist. Okay." And when I'd be alone, I wasn't real or didn't exist. That's what I assume the dream was based around. But like I said, I don't remember that dream. There were 2 guys trying to rob/kill people in town. I was laying on the sidewalk, I don't know why, and tripped one of them, but he kept running. The other guy lunged on top of a woman and was hanging on her back while she was screaming. This is a different dream scene that makes no fucking sense. I handed back a pen that was specifically used for taking notes on marijuana to a teacher. I remember that too. I was writing about marijuana with this pen, and this pen is only used to write notes on marijuana. And I was handing it back to a teacher, and some reason that's the kind of pen it was. I have no fucking clue why. Here's a good one where I was like literally like watching a movie. I was watching this movie play out, just sitting back, enjoying it. And here's how I worded it. This kid, the main character, got onto his roof and was screaming motivational words to all the neighbors. He was at someone's house he wasn't allowed to be at. He was wearing a long sleeve with a short sleeve over it, a seashell necklace, and shaggy brown hair. I remember that very vividly. It was, it's probably one of the most vivid recollections I've had of a dream character because I can almost remember, that kid. And I don't remember what was going on or what those motivational words he was yelling were. But it was just weird how vivid it was, and it was like I was just watching a movie and I had nothing to do with it for once. Here's a different dream scene. We were at me and my friend. We were at my friend's house, and his dad was mowing the lawn, but we kept hiding from him so he wouldn't see us. I don't know. Oh, well, that appears to be the last one. So that's it for my dream journal reports. There are more, but they're just like random, incomplete, or not really super interesting. But I hope this goes to show you. I guess what my dreams are like, and roughly how dreams can be, how it's just like bouncing around from one thing to the next, and you're just kind of getting dragged around these situations, and you always think they're real. You always think that's what's going on. You never know it's a dream. That's called lucid dreaming, and we all have so much trouble with that. You always think it's real. And if you're interested in dreaming at all, to any extent, I suggest starting a dream journal because, it might be boring at first. Like, I remember this dream. I don't need to write this down. But a few weeks, few months down the road of writing down these dreams, when you wake up, you'll catch yourself reading reports of dreams that you wrote that you don't even remember, and you're going, what the fuck kind of dream was I having? Like, what is this? And as you build this collection of your dream reports, it actually strengthens your ability to recall your dreams. You wake up and, the dream world is a familiar place. It's a place to itself. And the more you write about the way dreams are, the more you uh, notate how dreaming is for you, you're gonna remember more of it, and you're gonna eventually you could get to a point where you realize you're dreaming because something that happens in dreams, or this kind of shit only happens in dreams, comes up in your dream, to which you find yourself, am I dreaming? You know what I mean? So thank you all for watching. If you're interested in dreaming, definitely start a dream journal. It'll be really interesting later on down the road. But other than that, thank you all for watching, and I will be back with more.